Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex-wife that my fiancé is pregnant? My ex-wife Carly, 39 female and I, 40 male, got divorced 10 years ago. We had been married for 4 years, together for a total of 9 years. About 2 years into our marriage, we started trying to have a baby, but no luck. We went to fertility doctors after the first year of trying, and the doctor said there isn't anything wrong with either of us. We continued trying, but still no luck. Around the 1.5-year mark of trying, a coworker of Carly's got in contact with me to tell me he had been sleeping with her and didn't know she was married. I confronted her about it and she didn't deny it. She said the pressure of trying to conceive was making her depressed and a coworker was a welcome distraction. She said the affair was about 5 months. I thought about staying with her and giving it another chance, but I really couldn't even stand looking at her. Being near her made me sick, and I didn't want to be with someone who turns to someone else when they're having a hard time. So we got a divorce. I took a job in another city and moved, then met my now fiancé Mary 3 years ago. I proposed to her a year ago, and we found out we're expecting 5 months ago. I don't use social media much, but Mary does quite a bit. She posted photos of her bump and a sonogram on her Instagram and Facebook. Carly either heard from someone in my hometown or saw Mary's posts, but she called me. She called with a number I didn't have saved, so I didn't know it was her and picked up. She started off nice and was just asking how I was. She then asked why I didn't just call her and tell her myself so she wouldn't have to find out from someone else. I asked her why it's any of her business, and it started a bit of an argument. She hung up after a while. Our mutual friend said I should have told her because it was very hard on her that we weren't able to conceive when we tried, and it can't be easy for her watching me have a baby with someone else. But if I'm being honest, I don't see why I had to reach out to tell her that. We got divorced a year ago. We don't live in the same city, so it's not like she'll have to bump into Mary and I. We're not friends. Our marriage ended very badly. Am I missing something here? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So let me get this straight. She's your ex-wife. She cheated on you. You divorced. You don't want to talk to her anymore and you had no news from her. And you're supposed to tell her that your fiancé is pregnant? Either I missed that part or as I think it's none of her business at all. Not the a-hole, and tell her to pound sand and to stop stalking your fiancé in social medias. It's creepy as heck. To me, him contacting her after so many years just to tell her his partner is pregnant would have been petty. Like she's living rent-free in his head after all this time. Dude, move on and up. Yes, that too. He would have been an a-hole, lol. I mean, if one day I'm pregnant, and it will never happen, thank God, I won't call my ex-boyfriend to tell him, hey, guess what? This is so weird. It's time the ex-wife moves on, instead of stalking her ex-husband and his new fiancé in social medias. Lol. What she's doing isn't very healthy. My ex-husband was pissed when he found out I was pregnant. We tried for 10 years and I was never able to conceive. This was a big deal because I was in a cult, and women are supposed to have lots of babies. After we split up, he immediately went from one relationship to another, whereas I was so happy to be single/free. I wasn't going to do anything to mess that up. A few years later, he found a one and got engaged, and around the same time, I started dating this lovely atheist man. The universe has a sense of humor, and I ended up getting accidentally pregnant after we'd been dating about 5 months. We ended up having a quickie wedding because of healthcare reasons. And so, my ex-husband ended up being very mad because I won by getting married/having a child before he did. This just made me laugh because in my mind I wanted the day the divorce was final. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty upset you didn't tell me about the baby too. I'm just supposed to find out on a Reddit post? Well, damn, my apologies, friend. You'll be the first to know next time. Not a-hole, OP. Congrats on the baby. Focus on wife and baby, and forget the BS. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son I want no contact? Me, 45 male, and my ex-wife got together in our teenage years. Got married at 21 and had our son at 22. After our son was born, we slowly started to drift away. So when our son was about 11 or 12, I decided to pull the plug on my marriage. I don't know why, but my wife was very shocked. By that time, we already had dead bedroom for about 4 years and haven't had any deep discussion for about the same time. I was just done. It took about a week for me to move out, and all this time my ex cried all the time, begging me to stay, but I stood my ground. My son was very angry at me and wouldn't talk to me at all. I understood why. In his eyes, I was hurting his mother. When I finally moved out, he didn't want to see me at all. I tried really hard, came regularly to see him, but he always told me he hates me and ran to his room. I was devastated. The divorce was finalized in about a year, and custody was in place for 50-50. We got my son in therapy, but it just didn't help. He hated my guts to the core. That's why I never wanted to force him to go to my place. I could, but didn't want him to resent me even more. I still wanted to be there for him, went to his games, sent him birthday and Christmas gifts, but he shut me out completely. Last thing he told me is that he doesn't want me in his events anymore. I went to my ex's house a couple of times, but she always told me that he doesn't want to see me and that she wouldn't make him. At this point, I was cut off completely. I found myself in a long, dark road of depression and pain. It was like my son died. The lowest point of my life. But one day I woke up and was just done. I rebounded and have since moved on, met my wife, and we have 2 beautiful kids. Life was great again, until about a year ago when I got email from my son. He apologized for everything, that he recently got a child and started reflecting and realized how horrible he was to me. He wanted to reconnect and be in my life again. There was much more in email, but I don't want to share for privacy reasons. I didn't feel anything when I read this mail. I didn't respond. Since then, he sent about 15 emails detailing what is happening in his life and his kid. I never responded, but I figured I at least owe him some kind of closure. I didn't send it yet, but it goes, "Dear son, I would appreciate it if you stopped sending me emails. I went through hell and back to be at this point in my life. I have a family again, and I'm very happy right now. I understand you have regrets and some guilt about the past, but I hold no resentment towards you and I forgive you. But bringing you back into my life would introduce complications I am not willing to face for my own good and that of my family. I simply cannot give you what you seek. I want no further contact. I hope you understand and wish you all the best in life. Goodbye, OP." I didn't send it yet and finally told my wife what is happening. She read all the emails in my draft and was horrified. She begged me to not send it and open my heart for him. We argued and a demand for a therapist came up. She even told my parents and my mom went nuclear. She started berating me like I was a little kid again. I don't know why she doesn't understand. She was with me all this time and saw what I went through. In the end, she told me if I did this to him, she will do the same to me. I was speechless. I don't even know what I seek here. I went through similar stories here and a lot of the comments were not nice to people in my position. I don't know. Maybe I am a prick and need to hear it. Life is very short and he was a hurt child. Please learn to forgive. Learn to give perfectly reasonable second chances. Yeah, OP. It's not like your son betrayed you or anything. He was hurt and acted the way most young teens only know how, in anger. I'm not one of those be the bigger person dude, and I despise that phrase. But this is not one of those scenarios. Believe or not, you're both hurt people, and right now the ball is in your court to actually mend this broken relationship for good. Yes, and actually forgive. Not write it in an email and then act in a way that shows nothing but lingering resentment. That email is screaming that although your son may have grown and changed perspective, that you wish to resent him for the rest of your life, instead of possibly growing past it yourself. Therapy seems like a very reasonable demand for you. I hope you do, and find your way to healing. You're holding your child accountable for how he reacted, in his childhood, to a very adult situation. Please reframe your thinking, OP. You're hurting yourself just as much as everyone else in this situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for pretending I don't have money so my family won't bother me? My wife, 52 female, and I, 51 male, recently partly retired with 4 million in savings, 1 million of which is our home. I'm systems engineer and my wife was an RN. I still work part-time/contract but less than 20 hours a week, and my wife is fully retired. We are very frugal people and try to save where we can. I've also made it clear to my wife to never tell my family we have money and to pretend that we are dead broke. Her family knows we do well, but they never ask for money. My family won't stop asking for money. My mom, dad, and brother are terrible with money. My dad and brother both work oil and gas, which results in a few fat years of tons of money coming in, followed up with layoffs. Not saying the layoffs are their fault, but they have never saved anything, so they run up credit cards to pay for everything. My parents have borrowed against their house so many times they effectively haven't paid anything towards the principal, and they have had that house for 35 years. They should be retired but can't, but my dad recently had to go back to work as a school bus driver because they have so much debt and no money. My brother inherited their spending issues and has his own alcohol struggles and is currently going through a second divorce. I didn't tell my son not to tell his grandparents that we recently retired. And they found out from him recently and they have been calling me livid because we pretended we were broke for years. But clearly if we can retire, we have savings. I didn't tell them because I know the results or they would just ask us for money constantly. They have on several occasions. When we went on vacation and they found out via Facebook, we have since learned not to post, and came knocking for money. We lied and told them we won some money but had spent it all on the vacation. Am I obligated to help them? I don't feel so, because both my parents and brother made lots over their career. But my dad is in his 70s and still working. I'm sure they're contacting me to ask for money, but am I the a-hole if I continue to pretend I have none? Not sure how I'm going to do that now that they know we are semi-retired. Now for the comments. You don't have any money. You have enough to cover your retirement and that is it. You don't know what kind of medical expenses you're going to run into in your old age, and there is no more money coming in. Not the a-hole. Practice saying, we've retired and are on a fixed income. They don't need to know what it's fixed at, and it's none of their business. Add in that any retirement fund you may have is in the hands of a financial manager and locked into investments. Long-term investments that you couldn't touch if you wanted to, on purpose. Not the a-hole. Look, I'm all for helping family. I've helped my sisters in the past because 1, their financial conditions were no fault of their own. 2, they never asked, I offered. And 3, they made it up how they could. 1 paid me back, and the other helped me with something she's skilled at. Your parents have spent away their money, and so has your brother. The money you would give them would do nothing to actually improve their situation because they would spend it away again. You don't owe them anything. Their poor decision making does not mean you should not get to have this really wonderful early retirement with your wife, which you earned. Gotta second this. Anything you gave them would not only not help, but also enable them to continue their poor spending habits. It's not your fault they were not responsible with what they earned. First off, congratulations and massive kudos to you on being able to retire so early. You are living my dream. Secondly, not the a-hole. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than greedy relatives asking to borrow money. They did this to themselves. You shouldn't be responsible for their stupid decisions. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my engagement ring to get assessed professionally? My boyfriend, 33 male, and I, 29 female, have been together for 3 years. He is a very frugal person, which was fine initially, but now it's just killing our relationship. I'm quite frugal myself. I own my own apartment. My car is a Honda Fit that was paid for in cash. I have no debt, and I have over $240,000 in retirement assets and savings. But it takes it to another level. If we eat out, every meal must be split between us according to who ate what. And he will correct the waitress until I decide to pay more so the waitress doesn't suffer having to redo the bill. He paid for the first few dates, but then never ever took me out again. Not even on my birthday. Never any presents, other than a card and maybe a slice of cake. I bought him a nice watch for his birthday, but then never got him anything at all because I was really disappointed by his gift to me. He is not poor. He makes $70,000 a year in a medium cost of living area. He owns 3 pairs of shoes, a sandal, a sneaker, and a winter boot and nothing else, even though it rains enough that rain boots are necessary. It used to be very nice, he was non-capitalistic, but now it's just annoying. When we went to vacation, after some begging on my part because he doesn't want to pay for any travel, we had to leave at 3 a.m. and have a 5-hour layover because the direct flight that lets us get a decent night's rest is $200 more. Maybe it's a difference of opinion, but to me, being dog-tired and sitting in the airport for 5 hours isn't worth the $200 saved, and he refused to pay it, and it wouldn't be feasible to travel separately, so I dealt with it. Everything is about saving money, and he refuses to go skiing or to escape rooms with me because it costs money. Anyway, he got me the engagement ring and I said yes. Initially, I did have reservations because of what I mentioned above, but put that out of my head. He didn't give me anything associated with the ring, and when a friend saw it, he swore up and down it wasn't a diamond. I also am very dubious that my boyfriend would ever pay for a diamond, so I went to a jeweler, got it assessed. Turns out to be a white sapphire. They told me the ring should be worth $500 to $800, which is not a problem on its own, but the fact he wouldn't even spend much money on an engagement ring just makes me question how I'm expected to live with him in the future. He rents, but lives in a terrible place to save money. Will I be expected to live like that? I brought it up with him later, and he got furious and accused me of being a gold digger for checking the ring. I kept telling him it's just one of the many problems I have tried to talk about with him regarding his spending, and he just accused me of trying to cover up that I wanted an expensive ring. I'm being made to feel like a villain for not being happy about the ring, and how much I'm expected to sacrifice because of his frugality. Am I the a-hole? Why are you marrying this guy? He is who he is. He's not going to change. You've been through 3 years of this. Is this how you want to live the rest of your life? Can you imagine having kids with this man and watch him nickel and dime their entire childhoods? Run! It's because of the pandemic. We couldn't do anything for nearly 2 years. So when he didn't want to go out to eat, I just assumed it was pandemic worries. Now I know it's just him. Okay, I totally get that, but now you know. And the thing is, he's not even open to beginning to work on this, right? He's turning things around on you and getting nasty because you caught him cheaping out. Again. As a divorced woman, please let me tell you that there are worse things than being single. Namely, being in a bad marriage with someone who doesn't care about your wants and needs. Read your first 2 paragraphs to yourself and pretend they're about a friend of yours. Does it matter if you're an a-hole? Because that is not the main issue at hand. If OP wants kids, I doubt her current, hopefully future ex, does. Kids are expensive. OP, do you really want to spend your life living as cheap as possible, getting no fulfillment out of life? I get there is loads of free fun stuff to do, but is it worth giving up a chance to see the world if you wanted to, because your future husband would trash those dreams? OP not a-hole, but please evaluate and truly ask yourself if this is what you want.